welcome to another Sunday night Esoterica, the podcast live stream. I'm Chris Schultz.
I'm Aaron Christian.
And we have Andy Voker here with us again tonight.
What's happening?
So we have an actual agenda tonight, but while we were preparing the episode, we got into a discussion that I think takes precedent over our live feed.
Oh, 100%.
So Andy has just learned about Aaron's ridiculous cube rule. So, Aaron, yes. You want to refresh our audience on the cube rule?
So if you remember back to episode 3 of Esoterica, the podcast, Drop Dead, we discussed the cube rule, which is the definition of foods based upon the way that starch is around or on or underneath those foods. So there's 6 different levels, and there's a photograph I'll probably pull up and screen share in a second for everybody. But I think that, wow, Chris, just play that audio.
Sorry.
But I think the thing that really got us going was the fact that I said that a Twinkie was a calzone. So while I pull up the picture for the cube rule, we can talk about this.
All the other things you said could be calzones, except a Twinkie. Twinkie is where I draw the line. And it has to do with the process, the step-by-step process of how the thing is made. So the way you started it was your starch, which would be a bread or whatever, is put around something. And the first, you said calzone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one you said was Pop-Tart or something. I forget what your other...
It was Pop-Tart, yep.
It was Pop-Tart. And then, of course, then a toaster strudel would then be...
Yep, that would fall under that category.
Toaster strudel. A Hot Pocket, which really is a calzone anyway, but we think because they're mass produced, I wouldn't, because the calzone is something, hey, Tony makes over at the shop over there, but a Twinkie, see, the Twinkie is different because the Twinkie, let's talk about Twinkies. Twinkie is baked, and then after that, they inject the cream into it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a calzone.
Well, for our viewing pleasure, let me pull up this beautiful thing for us. This is the cube rule, okay? And I mentioned this website before, and we're just going to scroll through some of the images on cuberule.com just to understand and familiarize ourselves with this process, because I think it makes more sense. So this is this nice little drawing somebody on Twitter made of the cube rule of food. We have toast, sandwich, taco, sushi, soup salad. I've heard that called as quiche, and then calzone. So this is essentially...
Okay.
This probably makes more sense now looking at it than me explaining it, because I'm awful at explaining things.
Right. I see it now. But,
right.
If this is just geometric shape. This doesn't have to do, it wouldn't even matter if it was, you could make a salad soup bowl number 5 out of bacon, which I highly suggest you do.
It probably makes more sense now.
And the initial, you had initially said it was like the starch on the outside. So this makes a burger a sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you get a sandwich with burgers in it, it's a taco.
Yeah. See, part of my problem with this,
you can get it.
Can move back and forth, which I don't like.
Yeah, so I mean, let's scroll through some examples here. So identify any food purely by the location of structural starch. The first one's toast, right? So here are the few examples that they give.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's only a slice of pie.
Thank you, Andy, because that's my argument. Because it's a calzone. No, it's a quiche if it's a whole pie, but then you separate a piece and now it's toast. That doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does make sense because you're just ignorant. No. See, if you think about it, though,
you're stupid.
There's no shape. There's no shape for. This is a poor example, I guess. But the pumpkin pie slice, there's no shape for this. This like
let's go to the
half triangle. Let's go to the next one. I think
let's go to the next poor example.
So
sandwich.
We have sandwich, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So you're telling me then that lasagna is a sandwich?
Yeah. Yes, we are.
See the quesadilla, but that's a taco.
What? No, because there's no folded. It's not non-folded. If it's folded, then it's a taco.
Right. But what happens with the one in the middle, the toast? So here's the problem I have with this. Okay, just because they're laying on top of each other as a method of speedy and accurate delivery in a breakfast setting, it shouldn't become one thing to another thing by simply stacking them up.
I disagree with
There's
the
got to
toast.
be
I don't
some
know what that is.
continuity. Yeah, that's
But
you know,
lasagna,
they're blowing it.
They're blowing it. They blew this example. Let's just go to the next
Lasagna
thing.
is a
Taco.
sandwich. Why not?
Fine.
so we're at
fine. We're at taco now, right?
Taco. Wow.
Yeah.
So again, the pie is the problem.
Yeah.
Hot dog's definitely a taco. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
But a sandwich has to be a sandwich.
I love Chris's favorite word, bifurcate. See, if you cut the sandwich all the way through, you bifurcate it all the way through, then it becomes a sandwich. But if you leave it on the hinge, then it's a taco.
Yeah, but it's only a hinge. It's not a side.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's where the starch is located. If there's starch in between the two sides, then it's another side, hypothetically, in this example. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Next thing.
This is bizarre. Yeah. Okay,
This is
next one. Number
bizarre.
4.
Yeah, sushi.
Let's
okay?
see what sushi is. Hit me with sushi. Is a burrito sushi? Pigs in a blanket are sushi.
Pigs in a blanket.
That's excellent. That's so good. That's American
that's
sushi.
awesome.
Pigs in a blanket.
I don't have a problem with anything on here being sushi.
Man of God. Hey, if you're Italian, man of God is sushi. They could be making more money off that shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Italian sushi, right?
Falafel wrap. Is
now we've-
falafel a starch? Do we have a? Is falafel a starch or is it a bean?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on how it's made, what it is, what it's made up of, not how it's made. how it's made up.
Chickpeas.
Or is the falafel inside the wrap? The wrap's a separate thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, the falafel is an enigma wrapped in a wrap, wrapped in a burrito, and it's a taco.
I would say the chickpeas are a starch in that form.
Enchilada. Yeah, I think all those are sushi if you just go by
Yeah.
the structure, the build
Right.
structure.
So now we're
Yeah,
quiche.
sure.
No, we're cute.
But now falafel is back. How can falafel be back for another
This
segment?
is because the pita is the quiche.
Again, we're sort of losing continuity here.
I
Soup
think these
bowl.
people have poor examples, but I think a soup bowl is totally reasonable. It's just
Yeah,
a
just
liquid
'cause-
quiche. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because the stuff is inside the thing and it's the shape of the thing.
I would argue that that a quiche with cheese on it is basically just a cheesecake. Just want to throw that out there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, right. I agree. Because it's
That is-
mostly eggs.
Bonus round. Hey,
Pizza.
Deep dish pizza is a quiche.
Deep dish.
Sure.
yeah.
But it's a pie. That's why they
Bowl.
call it a pie. Or we're saying a pie is a quiche. Right.
Yeah, key lime pie is a
Well,
quiche.
yeah. Well, I would venture that quiche is a pie.
Or an open face pie at least.
A pie is probably more of a taco in general. Holy crap.
That's what you get for saying. That's what you get for saying pie is a taco. Done.
There are things flying around here that I don't know what to do about. Next thing while I take care of this.
Oh, dear God.
Calzone.
Calzones.
Calzone. Starch on all sides.
Wow. Corn dog is a if you told me when I woke up this morning someone was going to tell me that a corn dog was a calzone, I'd have laughed you silly. I'd have laughed you to the other side of the street.
Yet
And with the social distancing, that's where you should be anyway.
I'm on the other side of the room now, so
Have you been attacked by
I've been attacked.
Flying-
Yeah, trying to locate it as we get through this.
So a whole pie here, a covered pie, is a calzone.
but it was a quiche before without the cover.
Yeah. So like pumpkin pie is a quiche, but apple pie is a calzone.
But what if you put the pumpkin stuff inside the apple pie? Then it's a calzone.
Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. Aaron, are you making shadow animals?
What? No, I'm. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about what you're doing.
Never mind what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
not doing. Don't look at that thing over. I'm not doing anything. So we got.
Pay no attention to the man in front of the curtain.
I don't know if Aaron's very good at killing bugs. I have a feeling he's struggling there.
Oh, or is it the stink bug again?
Oh yeah, it's flying at me.
You're supposed to leave them alone.
I don't think they actually stink though.
Well, that's just because the start.
You guys
That's
talk
just
about
because
those movies then, because I'm going to be dealing with this for a little while.
Wow.
Oh, good Lord.
You just need a burrito to wrap it in. Wait, no, a calzone.
Calzone. You gotta...
Pardon me.
Oh, Aaron, your mom's chiming in. Oh my God, Aaron.
Aaron, get the spray. You gotta get the spray. There's a spray, and you just spray the thing, and they go away. I'm sorry, I don't know his mom. I don't. It's in the bathroom. Your father.
We're on Operation Killing right now.
Where is it?
It's on the light, Ken. It's right here.
Aaron, throw the thing at it.
Oh, good
You
Lord.
gotta throw the thing at the bug.
You want it? No, I don't want it. What? No, good.
Okay.
All right, now you gotta
Thank you.
You must
Thank
humanely
you.
release it into the yard.
Oh, that thing's dead. That thing's long since dead. Okay, so that's it for Calzone.
That was excellent. That was
Thank
all
you.
very good.
It was well orchestrated, I think. Whew.
So I think this is all very hilarious. I like it.
Yeah, this was the last thing we had to get to. Whew.
Pop-Tart, right, and
Uncrustables.
Uncrustables. I have never had an Uncrustable, and I'm very sad about that. I like how I have in parentheses unbitten. After they've been bitten, then they become a vampire too, and they find out that Tom Cruise is really annoying and not cool to hang out with for eternity.
Oh,
Nobody?
yeah, I think 5 minutes and you'd be good.
Yeah, right. Seriously,
Oh,
he's laughing at you the whole time, and all you got to eat is dogs, rats. Fuck that.
So
okay, so there's a worst movie.
Oh yeah, so the part of our
I actually like that movie, but it's fine.
there we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back live in our various realistic and unrealistic backgrounds.
Yes.
and I think to celebrate this moment, let's see. What the...
Yeah, is that a praying mantis? I like that.
That is actually got that at our Southwest office
Oh, nice.
back in the day.
Yeah.
All right. So the purpose of not the purpose of us gathering here tonight, but one of the things on our agenda tonight was to discuss our personal three, I don't know, least favorite, most hated, worst movies ever made.
Yes.
So each one of us should have three movies that we utterly despise, and I guess if we'll just do the round and see what people think.
Yeah,
All right.
there you go. So who's going first then?
Well, Andy, this is your idea, so I think you should go first.
Okay. So I don't know if they're the worst movies ever made, and it's certainly the first one is going to be very polarizing. And then within that, there's a whole category of movies I avoid that fit into this area. And I'm going with Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't care for musicals, let alone in movie setting. And it's just, I've been to it, and I know it's supposed to be a big deal, and you're supposed to, I don't care for it. I didn't dig it. I don't care for it. Wouldn't go see it again. And it's supposed to be a whole experience, but came on a little strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not a popular opinion because most people have had, love that and love the whole, go with your friends and the whole thing, it's a whole deal, so that's one, and probably unpopular.
Oh, I can get behind that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I'm not. I think of movies as a passive experience. I want to sit there and experience it. I don't want to get involved. It's a great Simpsons line. Ooh, the movie has become a play.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't want to have to put my hat on the other way because somebody told me to, like whatever. I don't know. That's a bad example. I'm just saying, but a lot of people will argue with you to the end of the earth that that's an amazing thing. And, it's cool, just not a fan. So I don't know if maybe it's not badly made, poorly made. Like maybe it doesn't fit in worst movies ever made. Maybe it's just something that I'm not a fan of. In fact, the other two movies that I picked, I don't think they're the worst movies ever made. A fairly recent movie called Downsizing with Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's still around making movies?
Where he gets shrunk. Well, look,
Oh my God. I actually have seen that.
He gets shrunk down. And, I'm into sci-fi and I'm into all kinds of stuff like that. When I was a kid, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was a huge movie because it was all these effects. I mean, that was a big deal. And I love science fiction stuff and those kind of ideas. But the other act, they cast, the way they wrote the other role, he meets this woman and she's just stereotypical for her cultural race background, and it's overwritten and poorly acted. It went from being could be a really cool movie to like, ooh, I don't even know if I can watch the rest of this now, And if it had been written differently and acted differently and directed differently, it could have been cool. But it was just this, either the choice of the actress or the choice of the way it was. I don't know. It was just, for me, it was like almost could have been. And then it was like, ooh, wow, I don't even know if I can watch the rest of this. We'll see. And
Could have
I did
been a
watch
good
the rest
movie
of it.
if it was a different movie.
Yeah, or something. I don't even know. But that's, that is what it is. And it could, somebody might have loved that movie, I had hopes for it, I tend to avoid, I've kind of lived a charmed life, like I don't really watch movies. I don't revisit bad movies, the last one I had, and it's a movie, there's things I like about it, but also don't like about it, and it's Mission to Mars. And
Another
that's
Matt
the
Damon.
one.
You don't like Matt Damon.
No, that's The Martian.
Well, that's The Martian. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
and I like The Martian. Martian is a great movie. No, Mission to Mars is the one with Gary Sinise, and at the end he goes to the aliens, and there are some things that are great about that movie, and there's a lot of other stuff that's just really unbelievable. And it was supposed to be such a great movie, and it was, it's like, not, yeah, you know. So I think interesting movie, but for what it was supposed to be, because they hype these things up so much a lot of the times, and then of course, like for example, all the Police Academy movies, pretty
classics,
awful.
every single one.
Yeah, but I can't sit through them. I mean, I don't know. I get it. I mean, yes, but those don't hold up like the '80s stuff that does. Yeah, Police Academy movies. Steve Guttenberg, kind of funny.
You know what's funny? I just happened to catch on cable a few days ago One Crazy Summer, which was Bobcat Goldthwait was in that, and what's his name? John Cusack. I love that movie, and I had a hard time sitting through it now.
Yeah.
Yep. And Demi Moore.
Right.
The pacing. A big problem is the pacing. It doesn't hold up in this day and age.
Because it's slow.
Yeah.
Ooh. So those are some of my thoughts. Not the worst movies ever made, but because there's lots, like there's the B movie area, and there's a lot of horror in the horror genre stuff. That's like, okay, but some of them were just bad movies and became cult classics. That stuff happened a lot too.
Yeah.
I know with my list, I tried to pick movies that I actually had like a physical reaction to, that I got angry over.
Well, you should take the reins then.
Yeah, it's like a natural segue.
So my number three, the least offensive to me, the Dark Tower with Matthew McConaughey and what's his name? I can't remember the other guy.
I'm sorry. How'd you just say Matthew McConaughey's name?
McConaughey. All right. So I'm a huge fan of the Stephen King series, The Dark Tower, and that movie had absolutely nothing to do with the book whatsoever.
Really?
It just shat all over the book. It took the name and the characters' names and little pieces here and there, and just basically shit on the entire property. So I hate it for that reason. Made me mad. Like I watched it, I just got angry.
Now, if you weren't a fan of the book and you were just watching it as a movie, how does that change your feeling? Can you separate the two?
In that case, it wasn't. Yeah, it would have been terrible, which is part of what probably made me angrier. Is that
right?
And originally, Ron Howard was in talks to adapt the entire series as a series of movies and a TV show to go along with it, which would have been pretty awesome. But
sure.
No, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was still a bad movie, regardless, but not nearly as offensive if you don't know the books.
Right. But McConaughey, man.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right.
My number two would be Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween.
I didn't see that.
So, in my mind, the original Halloween is the perfect movie. There's nothing wrong with that movie. It does not need to be remade. It doesn't need a sequel. It's just that is perfect storytelling. It's a classic.
Sure.
And one of the things that works about it is that Michael Myers, his character is so frightening because he comes out of nowhere. He's just some kid that goes bad, and because this unstoppable force of evil. There's no explanation. Rob Zombie turned his mother into a stripper and his father into an alcoholic and made him white trash that grew up and got angry and carved people up and totally took away anything that was frightening about the character.
Right.
So Rob Zombie, obviously a big fan of the franchise because he made a movie, but didn't understand one iota of the material he was adapting, which is just sad.
Right.
Rob Zombie, stay in your lane.
Don't censor him. He's an artist. How dare you fence him in? He's a great artist, and his beard is second to none. There's a family of rare fawn pipers that live in his beard, and every year they come back to nest. The guy's a national treasure. How dare you?
You offended me with this one outing. His Devil's Rejects was pretty good, but that was original material, so maybe he should stay away from the adaptations. The last movie, my number one all time. Before I say the title of the movie, I'll tell a little story. Number of years ago, my friends apparently knew Joe Sakamoto. They had a friend who would make bootlegs of movies that were currently out in the theater, and he had them on DVD. So they would lend them to us, and they're like, you got to return these so we can give them back to this guy. So we had some friends over. We watched this movie. We all sat there silently. When it was done, I got up. I popped the DVD out of the player. I broke it into 4 pieces and threw it in the trash.
Wow.
And that movie was The Happening by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's not a good movie.
Not at all. And we watched the uncut version, which you would think would have more gore, but it didn't. It was just more shit.
The whole movie, people just stop living, right? Nothing really happens.
Yeah, some of them committed.
There's a wind. There's just a wind that comes through.
Yeah, plants were killing people by whispering at them. It was. And Mark Wahlberg, God bless his soul, was trying to be pretending to be a math teacher. Which, Mark, if you're listening, don't.
What's the? Hey, I taught you the fucking Pythagorean theorem. How come you don't remember it? That's not a good impression of him. Anyway, Wow, yeah, I hear you, man. Like, and a lot of times that happens a lot. Good ideas for his stuff is like a mixture of science fiction and mythology, or like myths or weird story. I don't know. It's interesting. What about okay? So what about the Sixth Sense?
That's the problem I have with M Night. I think he was a one trick horse. Like Sixth Sense was good. The little twist ending was nice, but other movies he's made that I could get pissed off about. The Lady in the Water was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Absolute stupid movie. I'm going to get angry now thinking about it.
Ha!
I mean, and like so self-indulgent. He plays a character in that movie that saves the entire world. Like that's about as masturbatory as you can get making a movie.
Yeah.
Where
It's
not
the
only
part I was born to
putting
play
myself
because I
in
wrote it for myself. Yeah.
because I made a good movie once with Bruce Willis, and I'm hanging my whole tile on
Right.
it,
It's the part I was born to play. It says it here in the script, page 3.
right? God.
Yeah, man. Well, look, I mean, I don't know what, but and then isn't that, and then doesn't that? What about the Stephen King, The Mist thing? There was a movie version of that. It's okay.
I did like that. I liked it. There's two different endings to that. And I don't know who's familiar with the story of The Mist, but there's the one the guy kills his kid and his friends because they think the world's over, and then the military shows up like 30 seconds later.
Right.
Dark, good ending. And then I think they have a slightly sanitized version of that ending too. Frank Darabont, he was good running The Walking Dead before they took it away from him.
Sure.
Fighting words. What's my sister defending? Does she like The Happening? See, my sister kind of wanted to be on tonight, and I thought this was a poor pick for her because God bless her soul, there's not a movie made that she doesn't like.
Right.
Her and I have watched a lot of bad movies together. She's got far more compassion for poor movie making than I
do. Everybody gets hurt when a movie is bad.
Yeah, but if
even the lighting guy,
if a movie's just a piece of shit and it's poorly made and poorly acted, I can be okay with that. It's when good people make bad movies that really piss me off.
I didn't see it, but what about that one, the Jim Carrey movie where he's like a crazy guy, 23? It's a number. The movie is a number. Chris, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but
I didn't see it. I remember hearing it wasn't good, But Jim's he's funny, He has his he's got still funny, whatever, It's hard, man. I don't begrudge bad movies too much, and I don't, I just watch the shit that's good. This was a hard one for me because, you also kind of hear, yeah, you don't need to see that movie, Like I'll make a pop culture reference to a bad movie and say, yeah, like whatever. Oh, how's that? Yeah, you don't need to see it. Nope. You do not need to see that movie, like Starman. You just need to know the reference and understand the reference, but you don't need to fucking see Starman.
Starman was an awesome movie.
Yeah, right. But this guy, Aaron, doesn't need to watch that. We can just give him the gist of it. We can all have a laugh. Done. Watch Scarface again. Whatever your thing is. You know what I mean? It's just, you need to watch Starman. It's crazy.
That's true. That's true.
And it just is what it is. I mean, I like, there's all like, and that goes like to like kid movies. Like when I was a kid, there was this movie, these kids make they get, I don't know, these kids make a spaceship out of garbage because this kid has a dream about a math equation and he figures it out, or a circuit board, and he builds it, and they can make this little enclosed bubble. And they figure out how to make the bubble bigger, and they make a ship, and they bring air, and the whole thing is to bring them. And the whole point of this dumb movie is that these aliens like watching American TV, so they send. Chris, do you remember this movie?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Is it Explorers? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And it's awful. It's one of these situations where they finally get to the aliens and they're these awful rubber masks, and it's just could have been so cool, and it was terrible, but
For no reason at all, that made me think of Enemy Mine, which is actually a great movie, but
I don't know that one.
Lou
Enemy
Gossett
Mine.
Jr. and Dennis Quaid,
Mm-hmm.
they're enemies and they get stranded on a planet together and they become best of friends. And
Right. So, Chris, Aaron, it gets a lot of play and it's on TV a lot, especially during the summer. Is this a good movie or a bad movie? Independence Day.
Oh, I'm forced to watch that every year. Sorry, Mom. For that reason, I think it's a horrible movie. But
Yeah.
it's like actually, you know what? And this isn't on my list, but I wish I added it to it. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Hate that movie with a burning passion.
Screw it. I'm out of here.
blast.
Hate that movie.
I knew I'd do that bit at least once. It's a great movie. God almighty. It's a great
Hate it.
Okay.
Hate it.
So one of the things that almost made it on my list was National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Yeah, not such a great
That's
movie.
not a good movie, man. I mean, sure, you got a guy from Monty Python does a bit about getting hit by a car on a bicycle. That's a funny bit. The rest of the movie is terrible, terrible. And this is not. And he's not really saving the movie. You know, like the other movies aren't great, but Chevy is great. You know, Beverly D'Angelo is funny. That Christmas movie. Aaron, I got to disagree with you on the Christmas movie.
90% of the population is going to disagree with me, but if some people didn't make me watch it every year at Christmas, then maybe I'd like it. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, how about
it's oh my God, I can't stand it.
Aaron, what about Scrooged?
I haven't seen it enough for it to make me irritated, but and it's been a while since and it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember hating it.
For me, that's another great Christmas movie, and everybody's funny in it, not just Bill. I mean, it's a great movie across the board.
Yeah, I think it was okay.
Yeah,
I don't remember it all that well, and so maybe it didn't leave that much of an impression. It might not have been that good then. Who knows?
Sure. And that was that's big time '90s vibe. You know.
Yeah, totally.
Like I saw that movie in the theater, so I have a different connection to it. You know?
Yeah, I wasn't even.
And
born,
that's normal.
So.
Ha! I wasn't even born.
So, Aaron, what do you got?
What are your three movies, man?
Yeah,
to get us wound up.
Yeah, I don't even think it'll get you guys. Well, one of them will get you wound up, I hope. My first one is the 1994 Pinocchio remake they did, Geppetto, with Drew Carey.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I could not take Drew Carey seriously. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. He should be in a serious movie.
Yeah. Drew Carey playing Geppetto.
Really?
Yep.
I know. Who the hell green-lighted that?
I know. And I looked it up to see if I'm the only person in the world that feels that way. 5.4 out of 10 was the average.
You're the only person in the world that's ever actually seen that movie.
I know. Well, and they went on what is it? Whose Line Is It Anyway? They used to crap on Drew about it all the time. So
sure, yeah. Look,
because it's just an awful movie.
No, you know what
Wow.
You know what I would watch? A gritty backstory about Geppetto when he was a young man and what tragedies befell him to lead him to where he was when he created Pinocchio. I'd watch the hell out of that movie with Drew Carey.
I was going to say starring Drew Carey. I probably would have laughed if it was Drew Carey as Pinocchio. Drew Carey and Chris Farley for some reason get like crossed in my brain sometimes. And I almost said Chris Farley this whole time, and that would be funny. Chris Farley Geppetto, holy crap!
Yeah,
it's just as weird as Drew Carey. It just wouldn't make sense. But
it
would be funny.
You'll have plenty of time for becoming a real boy when you're living in a van down by the river.
Oh my god! So my second one is the Simpsons movie.
What?
I thought it sucked.
What?
Wow.
Oh my god, I thought it absolutely sucked.
Yeah,
and I'm not a huge Simpsons fan from the get-go. I will admit that, but I don't hate enough to say that the Simpsons suck. But I thought that the movie was not good. Like I felt like it was just too late to do a movie. for
If
that.
you said The Simpsons stuck, I'd drive over there and beat you up right now.
Yeah, no, I honestly, that's totally rational.
Ha! Wow. Yeah, the
I,
Simpsons movie. Why? What's so wrong about the Simpsons movie?
I just feel like they're trying too hard. Like you've already had this series going for 20 years at that point by the time the movie came out. And so now you're gonna put out a movie and why? Like what's the point?
Right.
You know, I just
Yeah.
felt like there was no reason to do it. So they
Right.
they weren't like they were back in the 80s and 90s when, you know, Simpsons is only a few seasons old and here we are, you know.
It was the Conan O'Brien years when he was writing on the show.
Just the one. He really only wrote season 4. It wasn't. I don't think he was on season 3. I think Conan was only on season 4, and at the end of season 4, that's when he gets the show. Or the beginning of season 5, but they had wrote all that stuff in season 4. There's a whole thing to it. I don't even, you know. I'll say that I love the Simpsons movie. I think it's great for what it is.
Yeah, I think if you isolate it, it's not that bad. It's definitely not the worst movie ever made. But like you put it into context, why'd you even bother?
Right. Money.
Oh yeah, well
they knew there'd be money. 10 years earlier, maybe there wouldn't have been money there for it. Like it might not have done well in the theaters. But at that point, Simpsons had become, it's all money motivated. It wasn't but the thing I would want to imagine, I suppose, is that if you were involved in The Simpsons all those years, they always wanted to make a movie. I think they would have always been up for that. So you can't blame them for taking it when it's offered, you know. Hey, let's do this. Yes. And we're still funny and we got great writers and the actors still have their voices and let's make a movie. Why? Yes. Why not? And the fans are going to love it, you know? And so, I think that there are some great jokes in that movie. I like that movie, man. I saw it 3 times when it was in the theater because for me, who grew up with The Simpsons, that had the fact that it happened at all was unbelievable.
Yeah, and you know maybe that's a big part of it too, right? You know, generationally.
Yeah.
Why people?
I mean, look, dude. I'll tell you what. If they did a Rick and Morty movie, I'd go twice, 3 times. And maybe it wouldn't be good, and maybe it would just because they offered Harmon $15 million and he's out of Adderall. You know what I mean? So they make sure, fuck it, let's make a Rick and Morty movie, you know. And honestly, I'd probably laugh.
Yeah,
I'd probably like it because I guess I'm just a sucker. You know what I mean? You know.
So my last movie,
like this shit's funny.
So I had to note that during this whole pandemic 2020, I've quoted the Tom Hanks appearance in the Simpsons movie several times. America has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine.
That's right. Ha! Like when
and actually, you've quoted that so many times. I actually had to look up that scene to remember where it came from, and it made total sense afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, it's from that movie I hate.
Yeah.
So
Tom Hanks, and if you see me on the street,
please leave me be. That's such a great joke. I love the silo. And it says, please return to Homer Simpson, no reward.
No reward.
It's a good joke, man. So what's your number one or your third movie?
I mean, I wasn't necessarily going in order, and I don't think any of these, I don't know. This is just, I've always hated this movie. The movie Coraline. And it's a animated movie from 2009. Not a fan.
I love Coraline.
Yeah, don't like it. Don't like it.
Did it scare you?
That might be it because I was 9, but at the same time, like I don't know, I didn't get.
Did it scare you? Chris said, and very calmly, did it scare you? That was great delivery, my friend. Did it scare you?
But I don't know. I didn't like the plot. I wasn't a fan of how the characters were, made. I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. Because I haven't revisited it, like I don't remember what bothered me about it. I just know if I hear that movie, it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Well,
get away from me.
Coraline was a calzone, right?
Yeah, that's why. Oh my god,
he's a calzone. Yeah, I saw it once. Here's the thing. So I'm a middle-aged guy, and I don't have a wife or kids. I watched Coraline once. After that, it's creepy.
Right.
I borrowed my sister's Disney so I could watch The Mandalorian. Outside of Mandalorian, if you're a middle-aged guy with no kids, having Disney Plus gets you on a list.
Yeah. Although, if you look at like their vintage
They got
catalog,
Star Wars shit, and that's the only reason I have that. You know.
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I spend most of my time on Disney Plus watching like, oh crap, what's that movie? 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the old Herbie movies, like all the shit we saw when we were kids.
I wonder if wow, is Fantasia on there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so great.
That
You know,
Imagineering
Disney-
thing too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll check some of that out. I didn't even because when it comes up on the app, it just seems like there's the kid stuff, and I haven't really dove into it. You know.
Oh yeah, look at the one of the categories is the vault. Look at the vault, like
Look at the vault,
everything
right.
that you can remember from when we were growing up watching Disney movies.
You know that 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There is some serious racism in that movie.
Oh, you know they actually they have little
That shit does not hold up, man.
they
That's
have warnings
incredible.
before any of the old movies, and it says may contain outdated cultural references.
Ha! For real?
Yeah, that's how they
That's
phrase it.
excellent.
I
Wow.
love that they do that.
Dude, I need a T-shirt to wear all the time that says that.
Is an outdated cultural reference.
I will. Yeah. Seriously.
Oh, Aaron,
Wow,
I think
that's
we get
great.
a call for T-shirts there. Esoteric of the podcast may contain outdated.
Cultural. That's fucking
Outdated.
great, man. Because it does that scene. You know the scene I mean. I don't want to get into it, but
Yeah,
it is fucking rough, man.
there's
I saw it on T-
a lot of their movies from the 60s are very cringy now when you watch them. You see, oh, that's not okay. That's not okay.
Right. Right. And you know, some of that stuff was edited out. Like a lot of those, like 20,000 Leagues you saw on TV, you know, it was played a lot. And those even back then got edited for time. And so a lot of times you don't I mean there's some movies where there are stuff I don't remember seeing
Yeah.
because they got edited. They were edited for TV, maybe not for content but for time. You know. So it's funny to see even The Simpsons. I mean, when that stuff was in syndication, they were getting more and more commercials and they were cutting jokes out. Like there's a joke in the season where the Who Shot Mr. Burns at the very end, the season breaks. It's the end of season 6 is Who Shot Mr. Burns, and then it starts up in season 7 with the same episode, part 1 and part 2. At the very end of part 1, he goes and he cuffs Homer, and Homer goes, "Doe," and Wiggum goes, "That's what they all say. They all say doe." You know, it's a great funny joke, but I remember that wasn't in the episode for a while because
Yeah,
they
do
edit
that a
for
lot.
time and they're cutting things off and taking things out. So some of those old weird movies, even the shows, like go on YouTube, pull up an episode of The Fall Guy and watch how many off-color comments they make to women. You know what I mean? Like it's just pick any Lee Majors movie from Night Show from 1979. It's going to be a little torrid somewhere, you know. And that was
They
regular.
were simpler times.
Yeah, sure, yeah, of course they were. Sure they were. Forget about it, man.
Life's simpler when you can get away with shitting on everybody who's not a white male.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Man, I like your list though, Aaron. I hear you, man.
Yeah,
Coraline.
I wanted to pick at least one or two movies that people were gonna fight me on, just because sometimes I need something.
Well, because there are so many bad movies, you can define them in those terms, you know. You
Yeah.
could pick a bad movie that we're all going to agree is a bad movie, and then we move on to the next subject, or
Yeah,
pick
that's
a
a
movie
boring
that,
show.
right.
Yeah, like me saying Christmas Vacation was an awful movie. Just like A Christmas
Love-
Story. I can't, same reason,
love that
can't stand
movie.
it.
Wow. But it's not. It doesn't go back to that being like classic, because
See,
that
yeah,
one's really classic.
I get to the point where I don't want to hear somebody doing an imitation of Ralphie or his mom or anybody again. Like, just stop it. Like, knock it off, okay? There's a point where I want to make my own tradition and not be like sucked into what everybody else does. I'll not obviously, but I'll watch like It's a Wonderful Life, but nobody else will. Like, it's really weird. I can't stand the things that everybody else likes around
Okay,
Christmas sometimes.
so it's not
Oh,
a bad
God.
movie. Okay, Aaron. So it's not a bad movie, but I don't like it. I don't really care for It's a Wonderful Life.
Mhm. Most people
If that
don't
movie's
actually.
if that movie's on, I don't watch it, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's look, everybody loves the Campbell Soup guy, you know, but it's just like I don't care for that movie. I'd rather watch the other ones. I'd rather watch the Christmas Story, Scrooged, or the Christmas Vacation one is a personal favorite. Um, but that's the black and white, the old movies. You know, I grew up. My mom always loved all that stuff, and my dad to some extent too. And so we watched the black and white movies. But unless for me, it's a little dated for me.
Mhm.
Classic stuff out there, absolutely. But it was too slow paced. I'm a kid of the '80s, you know.
Mhm.
Um, Even some of the Hitchcock stuff, like there's the classic. I mean, Hitchcock is great, but outside of that, the older stuff doesn't hold the draw for me. It doesn't, and that's you're having that same reaction to Christmas Vacation, where it's just
Yeah.
it's just a little too far off of your radar, and that's okay. That's totally allowed, man.
Because I'll watch Elf
Um,
4 or 5 times through, but I will not watch Christmas Vacation more than once if I have to.
so for me, the difference on Elf is great. I'll watch
Yeah.
that. I didn't grow up with it. It's not my go-to Christmas movie, but that guy's fucking hilarious.
Oh
That's
yeah.
a great
Yeah.
that's a great movie because he's funny, because James Caan is so intense. You know, um, look, if you got a guy from Godfather 1 in your fucking movie, I'll watch it. All
Yeah,
right,
right.
we're done. Just put him in it. Fine, done. But yeah, I think that's fair, and and that's why this is a cool thing to talk about. What is your? I don't. I might have told the story last time. I'm kind of a one trick pony, but I was talking to somebody about Goonies, and the woman had said, "Oh, I never saw Goonies," and everybody was up in arms about it. Like, nah, leave her alone. It's not a great movie. I saw it 12,000 times, so to me, it's a great movie.
Well,
But that's because of repetition.
like Chris has even said, like Star Wars are not great movies, but they're like classic movies. You know what I mean? Like Chris has said it better than I have, but they're not inherently like the best movie ever. But like it is a part of it. Like Chris saw it when
Oh,
he was what, 5?
They're very crude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
The
the
thing
power of
that's
Star Wars. It's the story. It's the mythology.
Yeah,
mythology.
exactly.
It's got that thread that most people, collective unconscious, that we can all relate to.
Mhm.
You know, Christmas Vacation is just Chevy Chase being weird about Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that doesn't have the same thing. But I
It
don't
was
know.
like that. I remember when I was taking film classes, and when I wanted to be a film director, I watched a lot of the classics, and like Citizen Kane, great movie. Glad I saw it. We'll never see it again. Like,
Right.
didn't really hold the interest for me.
Right. And I'd honestly, Citizen Kane, I'd probably seen parts of it. The reason I know Citizen Kane is because most of The Simpsons 1 through 8 is, they're quoting and referencing that movie all the time because they were all fascinated by it.
Yeah.
So I know more about Citizen Kane just from listening to Simpsons commentaries. You know what I mean? Just because they're always talking about that movie.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't.
It's funny, and like I mean, Aaron, so there's 20 some years between us, but then like my kid, who's
Yeah.
what, 4 or 5 years younger than you.
Yep.
So my son's aware of many of these classic movies and cultural references, but he hasn't seen them himself. He knows them from either from memes or from secondary source material. So he gets the jokes, but he hasn't actually seen the stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how to feel about that.
You know what's funny about you saying that is think about the episode that came out this week of our podcast, and we were talking about how Fat Boys and Little Men, they have this is one of the first songs we listened to. Like you can hear them channeling Black Sabbath and stuff between. I'm laughing at you because you're funny, but the channeling like Black Sabbath and stuff through Seattle grunge and stuff into their own music. So it's kind of how secondhand, like how Nick likes things or knows a lot of these things secondhand. Same idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where things are going to go because, kids my age don't have the time or like want to pay attention to an old movie, but like want to get the reference and be a part of the game. So we're just going to just like jump to the second thing and go for it. I don't know.
But that's natural. That's how it all goes.
Exactly. Yeah.
How information is passed from generations. That's the human
Right.
experience. You know.
Yeah, well, it's like Star Wars again. I mean, I keep jumping back to that. Lucas was influenced by the Flash Gordon serials that he watched as a kid. Now, I love Star Wars, but I get no interest in going back and watching old black and white TV shows from the 40s, 50s.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know a lot about those series because of my love of something that came, 30 years later.
I just saw the Twilight Zone part of it. One of the channels, over on Xfinity plays old Twilight. Every once in a while, they'll run them for 12 hours, And it was the one with the alien that comes down, and it's Chris. It's a Simpsons reference. It's the Halloween one. It might be season 2, the first Halloween episode, where the aliens and Darth Vader voice, James Earl Jones, is in it, and the joke about how to cook for humans on the book and how to cook 40 humans.
Oh yeah, man.
That's from an actual Twilight Zone episode, and it was on the other day, and it wasn't. I was doing something else, and it's great television. I mean, the Twilight Zone is an example of old black and white stuff that's actually really good, and I was watching it. I was like, yeah, not only and have I not gotten bored with this particular episode yet, but this is fucking primetime Simpsons reference. Like I know this from The Simpsons, not the other way around. And that's how it just kind of reverses around, where the reference, you don't know the actual thing. And then it's just up to you whether you want to do the work to learn. That's as a musician and a performer, kind of a music historian. As you listen and you learn a lot of things, you kind of know about the history of that. And that's what everybody's. If you got half a brain in your head and you have interest in things, you do that. That's what we do. Oh, I heard of that. He talked about that movie. Oh yeah, let's watch it. Somebody told me that's a good movie. That's just how things are passed along. We're all doing that. Whether it's listening to music, and then that becomes a part of your sound. I've been doing a lot of now that we're all stuck in the house, I've been making some music here on my own, and I've been doing these jams where I kind of jam and I kind of rant and complain a little bit. And the more I make beats and come up with a bass part and come up with a drum part, it sounds a lot like Afrobeat, like Fela Kuti, because apart from being a jazz musician and playing jazz, and played some funk when I was younger, I played a little bit of Cuban music, but I also listened to a lot of Fela Kuti and some of that early Afrobeat stuff. And more times when I just kind of make up a beat and get a thing going, I'm like, oh, it sounds a little awful lot like that other. Fuck, man. Okay, so what do? Listen to more stuff, But these influences are going to come through. They're going to come through, whether it be your humor, your style of humor, or the kind of movies you like, and it just all comes through, Yeah. And then it's up to me to be cool with you, not liking a movie that I really love, and it's up to me to be open to that. Like, yeah, okay, cool. Maybe it's not as great a movie as I remember, or maybe there's a reason I'm biased to like it so much, And Christmas is hard. It's a lot of stress. And did you get the right gift for the person? And where's the Tylenol? I mean, that's.
I remember my son was complaining once about a Christmas Story because growing up for him, ever since he's been a kid, was it one of the channels on TV plays it 24 hours at Christmas? Yeah. So
that's why I hate it.
He was saying
all of them.
I've never seen that movie from start to finish. I've seen every second of that movie, but never in order from beginning to end. And he hates it because of that. I'm like, that's fair.
Well, it's a really good book. It's a really good book.
I love how the author is the narrator in the movie.
The actual guy, Gene Shepard. And he had a radio show in New York in the 50s and 60s, and you can find that online and listen to that. And he was a bit of a crazy guy. Like he had all these stories in that book. So that's a book. My stepdad, Bill, is a big fan, and he used to give me books to read of that stuff, Gene Shepard, because he likes the dry sense of humor stuff. And that's a book called In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash. Yep. And that whole movie is just one chapter in this book, and it's all like that. It's basically this guy Gene Shepard telling fictitious stories about growing up in the Depression era, but he would never release his birthday, like a lot of this stuff was fiction, but he said it was his life. But there are things that he talks about that he probably wasn't alive for, or probably shouldn't remember. Like he would have been too young to remember the 1930 World's Fair, for example. But whatever. They're great stories. It doesn't have to be true. And that book is really good. That all those stories in that book are excellent, and it might put the movie into perspective. So your homework is to read that book. In God We Trust, all others pay cash. You could probably get it on Kindle, maybe read by Ben Affleck. Audio book by Ben Affleck. He's just so colorful and micromodal. Ben Affleck. Yuck. Okay, so what's the worst Ben Affleck movie? Ta-da! Chris Schultz, you go first.
Oh, worst Ben Affleck movie.
I got to look up what he's been in.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough. Worst Ben Affleck movie.
The one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my God! Changing
Yeah.
Scenes. Yeah, that was not a good movie.
I mean, what about he's the Batman, Superman. First of all, why do they have to be involved with each other?
Oh, I totally agree with that.
Chris,
Suddenly...
does that have canon basis when they do a Batman Superman? Are they connected in comic book world? Did that happen, or is that all bullshit?
I think it depends on how much of an OG you are, because they never.
Well, I'm fucking OG all the way, brother.
They never were connected, but I think like DC's so run out of ideas that they've melded everything together in the subsequent years. I mean, I stopped reading DC or Marvel comics years ago, but DC just does not have the magic that Marvel has with their cinematic universes.
Right.
Like it was the bomb in Phantoms, which also, Changing Lanes reminds me of. You ever see that movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas?
I love that movie. That's intense, man.
See, it is, but it pissed me off.
He's so crazy.
They had the potential with that movie to have that character be an everyday man who just loses it, and they cheaped out and made him psychotic, and that always bothered me.
Right.
Other than that, a great movie.
Right.
And my dad mentioned earlier the worst movies. Was it Giggly? Is that how you say it? It's a Ben Affleck movie.
Oh my God, Jersey Girl. I mean, as much as I love Kevin Smith, I can't sit, and I love George Carlin, I can't sit through Jersey Girl.
No,
and I understand what Kevin was trying to do with that, but I love him, but no, it wasn't a great movie. Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, though.
I didn't see that. I didn't see Jersey Girl either. I mean, I avoid that kind of rigmarole,
Mm-hmm. But Jersey Girl is one of Tom Waits' best songs. I'll give him that.
Sure.
I've looked at every single movie that he's been in, and I don't think I've seen any. Oh, Suicide Squad.
Affleck was in Suicide Squad?
Apparently, he was Bruce Wayne, Batman, uncredited.
I don't remember showing up in that.
That movie was okay. I didn't like Birds of Prey. The new one that just came out. Yeah, it's basically Harley Quinn is the premise of that. I just didn't like it. I think it was good.
Well, the view's good.
How did Harley Quinn? And that's a character like I have so many problems with Harley Quinn being a mainstream character that girls are looking up to as a hero. She was emotionally abused and raped by the Joker, basically gets Stockholm syndrome and becomes a bad person herself. Like, how is that a role model? Jesus H. Christ. There's some sick stuff going on there.
Because of Pornhub. That's right. You heard me.
We did hear you.
Good. I'll say it again if you need me to.
They're offering free premium service right now, so I hear, in order to keep people at home. So, yay.
Good for them.
So I hear, says Chris. So I hear.
Good times, good
I'm a married
times.
man quarantined with 2 kids. How the hell is that happening? Anyway,
You got a shed, don't you? You got a shed. He's got a shed out there.
The shed's on the ground, Chris, isn't it?
well, one of them. One shed's on the ground. The other's
One
still. I get a trailer though. So, Adrian, I just noticed again we get a poll up. Did we get any results on our polls?
Did we get results on the polls?
Oh yeah, we're 67% no for eggs meat, and I canceled the cheesecake one too early. So damn. So is cheesecake really a cake? Just pop in the comments here what your vote is.
Yeah, let us know. I think the cheesecake is I think it's more of a souffle or a custard. I'm not saying that I think it's pie. I don't think cheesecake is pie, even though you slice it in the pie fashion. Because a cake can be square. Most of the time, a pie can't be square. And never is it a burrito. It is never a burrito. That's what I'm saying.
Pie. I am gonna bake it.
So I think that a cheese can be not a cake. It can't be, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know why I'm losing it because you said it could be cut in the pie fashion.
It can be cut in the pie fashion,
I know exactly what you mean.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where I think that cut, just because it be cut in dainty triangles doesn't mean that it's pie,
Nobody
And-
wants to eat cheese pie.
No,
that's what we were saying before, right? Like
screw
cheesecake
pizza.
sounds nice. Cheese pie sounds fucking gross.
I'm just thinking of a pizza.
Well, that's why
Well,
soy milk is
Yeah,
called
but that's by your reckoning, that's a taco.
What, a pizza? No, pizza's toast. Deep
Unless-
dish pizza's a quiche.
I've had some good toast, but that shit ain't no pizza. I'll tell
Okay,
you
you know what? Bar style pizza. Bar style pizza is that quiche or is that toast? By their definition, what is
Well,
it?
it's toast.
It's made in a pan, and it's supposed to have like a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, deep dish.
I would say, I'd say it's a quiche.
Well, you have the right to be wrong. It's okay.
I know you have the right to stop being on
Right. Quiche has eggs, and so we're done.
Right. Well, it's like soy milk, right? If you called soy milk by its true name, bean juice, like nobody's drinking that shit. That sounds gross.
Yeah, here's what. Yeah, wow. Yeah, no shit. Bean juice. That's fucking terrible.
But
That's
soy
like-
didn't come out of a teat. It ain't milk.
It doesn't come out of a teat. It's not
Maybe.
milk.
Maybe a Gungan teat.
Gungan.
Gungan milk. It's got all the calcium and Gungan nut you need. Yeah. There's a great
Oh,
commercial.
God.
If anyone is watching this, go on YouTube and put in Robert Loggia orange juice commercial. There's when they first started putting calcium in orange juice, they had this commercial with Robert Loggia, and he's dressed like a gangster, black on black, and this kid's at the table, and he doesn't want to drink the calcium fortified orange juice. And the woman mom's like, you got to drink it. It's just like regular orange juice. And the door flies open with the wind and the lightning, and it's Robert Loggia. And he goes, hey, kid, drink that orange juice. It's good for you. And the kid drinks it, and he goes, oh, that's good. And Robert Loggia goes, yeah. Cut. Like that's the commercial.
Yeah.
It's so he's just like, hey kid, hey Robert Loggia, that is pretty good. He goes, yeah. It's fun. It's the do yourself a favor, folks. Watch that commercial now.
Yeah.
After the it's worth it. It's worth every penny. Humanity deserved Robert Loggia for that exact reason.
Hey, if I was a kid sitting at the table and my mom was trying to get me to eat Gravy Train and Robert Loggia walked in the door and told me to eat it, I'd eat it.
Damn right. Because he fucking kneecap you if you didn't.
Right?
That's for real. Hey kid, eat that fucking Gravy Train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eggs, meat. So 67% of people said eggs are not meat.
Okay.
Yes.
It's proto meat.
It's definitely not meat.
It's proto meat.
It's period.
But it will be meat. The thing that it is becomes meat. It will be meat.
but
Eggs
but it's
are
not.
meat.
But
You
it's
can
not.
put them in a burrito, which is a calzone, and
It's
meat
like-
goes
What
in
if
a
you get one of
calzone.
those fertilizers?
I feel like that's the same logic as saying that women that have regular periods are like having abortions constantly. I feel like it's
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like that's the
So
argument we're making.
We went from here on the earth all the way over to here on the
Well,
earth.
you know,
We went from Andy's dumb question about the chicken or the egg to reproductive rights.
and well, you know,
Blink of
That
an
got
eye.
dark quick.
but you get where I'm coming from, right? It's just because the chicken's having a period doesn't mean it makes it meat. Okay.
Okay. It's not a burrito. Okay, you can dumb down all of our food, but this is not an egg. Is not what do we? I can't even say it. I'm flabbergasted. I'm literally. You have destroyed me.
I think I
cannot
broke him.
proceed. I cannot proceed without offending people. Caution. Andy on screen may contain inappropriate cultural references.
Outdated cultural references.
You know, I see what you're saying, but I think that a chicken is laying an egg, right?
Yeah, but that egg has to be fertilized.
But it's not. You're not eating a fertilized egg.
But that's what I'm
just the
saying.
egg.
It's if it's not fertilized, then it's not a whole thing. It's just an egg.
And in the chicken's case, how are we talking about this? What are we doing here?
Are eggs
What are we
meat?
What's going on? Yeah, eggs are not meat. Okay, fine. I just thought it was a funny thing to say. I didn't think they were meat. I'm just saying. I just thought it was funny
I
as
didn't
hell
think
to
we'd
say
get
it.
this far, honestly. Well, you know, now that half of Abington hates me,
On to the next half.
so
We're coming for you, the rest of Abington.
Yeah.
Your days are numbered.
So
Just wait
numbered.
until they find out that you hated the movie Scrooged. They're just gonna. Bill Murray.
I
is
never
a
said I
national
hated
treasure. Bill Murray is a national treasure.
like Groundhog Day. I don't know. Now I will watch that movie, but and I will watch it a few times, but I would not say that it's a great movie by any standard.
I thought we were in the home stretch, but apparently,
Harold,
Well,
I'm sorry.
This could go one of two ways. We can keep talking about it.
Wrong, sir. You are wrong, sir.
You lose. You get nothing.
Yeah, right. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, the two youths.
You know what? That's another bad movie. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Not Willy Wonka from the 70s, the new one. That's an awful movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not great. Yeah.
Tim Burton's Hot or Cold.
It could have been great. You know,
I think Tim Burton and Johnny Depp need to break up.
Yeah.
Let's try
or at least see other people. You know,
right?
What I mean? What about? So the one I didn't see was the Alice in Wonderland one. I didn't see that.
I don't like that movie.
Johnny Depp, Tim Burton. Well, you're right.
Yeah,
but there was a remake in the early 2000s, right? There was an Alice in Wonderland, and he's all dolled up in face paint and whatever. I didn't see it.
Apparently, he did research, and I'm like, and nobody was running around looking like that ever.
By research, does he mean smoking weed with Hunter Thompson? What are we talking about? Research?
Yeah, probably.
What are we talking about?
Somewhere.
Yeah, I'm an actor. I'm very serious about my craft.
I know one version of Johnny Depp, and it's Pirates of the Caribbean, and just stay there.
That's
actually Keith Richards, but you know.
Ha! What was I saw him in a movie. I watched something really old, and really young Johnny Depp was in it. Now I forget what it was. It's really not good for a podcast. But he's been in the business for a long, long time. I mean, there are good Johnny Depp movies for sure, you know.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street.
Johnny Depp was in that.
Yeah, he was the boyfriend in the original.
Oh.
Yeah, Johnny Depp had his day. Well, so like I tuned in a little bit yesterday to the the living room live aid that was going on. And Sir Paul McCartney was singing Lady Madonna from his basement.
Uh-huh.
Now, Paul McCartney
As
has nothing to prove, but the dude can't sing anymore.
No, he cannot.
But he's like 90, and he was one of the Beatles, so like he doesn't
Yeah.
need to sing. He doesn't ever have to sing again. He's done it.
Not
Well,
to
that's
move
the
into the
hard-
music realm, but Band on the Run. I'm sorry.
Oh well, let's
No.
not talk about Wings.
Yeah.
well,
no.
part of that, okay, that's one of those Beatlesy mashup of songs, and one of the parts of that song is really good. I always, if we ever get out of here, da,
Yeah,
da, 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 to a
I guess I just
registered charity. That's good, Paul. That part of that song is great.
yeah.
And then it,
I'll fully agree with that.
and like I like a good Bohemian Rhapsody and a song that takes you on a trip, but that one I just don't think needed to do that.
So, Aaron, I'm
But
going to make
that's-
you listen to Genesis Supper's Ready, 28 minutes. Talk
I
about
told you I will only listen to Invisible Touch by Genesis. That's it. Just because I know how angry that makes you.
Genesis is good.
yeah, Genesis.
Abacab or whatever. I'm a big Genesis nut, and I've been on a Genesis kick for a little while, getting back into that stuff. But whatever, it's cool, man. I mean, it's cool. I like it. It's fine. I'm a jazz musician, so I'm not supposed to talk about music that isn't jazz. So pretend you didn't hear me say that. It's fine. But yeah, Genesis is cool.
Well, Phil Collins, he had a side project for a while in the 70s, early 80s. Was it Brand X? I think they were a jazz band, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I'm not even aware of that. Yeah. Phil's cool, man. People hate on Phil, but
drummers.
And that's right. And a great rock drummer and a great songwriter, really happening songwriting. You don't have to like it. It's 80s, it's 90s, it's dated, but that doesn't
that
mean
Live Aid,
he isn't
though?
great,
Oh,
Live Aid though?
For when he drummed for Led Zeppelin? Yeah, we
don't talk about that.
No.
Is it not good? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't know. My parents divorced and I moved to Pennsylvania on the day of Live Aid, so I got no memory of that. I had other things going on that day.
It's fine, and people do, it's like anything, actors make bad movies, music, stars they try things and it doesn't always work, like there's a thing that's been going around on YouTube and it came on Facebook. It's the Phil Collins Big Band in the early 90s. And Phil Collins is not a swing drummer. He's not a jazz drummer. His pocket, for that rock stuff, Phil sounds great. I like that stuff. Might be a controversial opinion, but I think he sounds great as a rock drummer. There's no reason for him to have a jazz big band and be playing jazz festivals. And there's heavy people in the band. Like it should be great. But at the same time, he's allowed that.
Yeah.
Because Take Me Home.
Good song.
Done.
Always
Done. That song's great. That song's great enough that he can make a bad jazz album with a big band. Give the guy a fucking break. What are we talking about? Leave the guy alone.
I was always disappointed that when he embarked on his solo career, he used a drum machine for those albums. Like, come on,
man, everybody did.
Yeah.
There's a documentary. There's a documentary on Amazon.com called The 808. Just look it up. It's about the drum sequencer called the 808. And everybody used it, not just, there's that really great Marvin Gaye record. There's barely a band on it. It's him and a fucking drum machine. And I didn't know a lot of that history. I know the music, but I never thought that much about it. The documentary is incredible because everybody was using that stuff. It was like, it was like when fucking electric guitar happened, late 50s. Putting pickups on a guitar and then an amp that can handle it. And then you've got Bill Haley's in the Comets and you've got Buddy Holly and you've got rock and roll and you've got blues guys plugging in and everything changes. And it was the same with that drum machine thing. It changed everything and lots of people were trying it, because the people that are successful in moving their careers forward and staying creatively relevant take advantage of the new technologies. I'm not saying I do that, but that's what you do. If you're interested in staying relevant, you got to keep moving with like podcasts now, how it's changing comedy, how it's enabling comedy to keep going when the way people take in content keeps changing.
Yeah.
So we have to keep moving forward, and you got to try to take advantage of technology to do that, in order to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm.
I was just reading an article yesterday about podcasts, and I guess across the board, listenership is down because people are not commuting to work or in their offices, and apparently that's where everyone listens to podcasts.
Right.
Which honestly, I think lately, like we've gotten more people tuning in to our live streams and our podcasts because everybody's sitting at home staring at their laptops anyway.
Yeah, I'm finding that just I've done some live Facebook videos with the one man band here in the living room, and lots of people managed to see those. But when I put a video or something on my YouTube page and share it to Facebook, Facebook doesn't care. Like 7 people see it. It's right now it's all front loaded for the live videos because that's what people are responding to. So, and I think that's a fluid thing. I think as it probably shifts and the algorithms probably shift with it. But that's what I'm finding. If I go live, people will see it. If I share something from a YouTube page, whatever.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it were more even, but what can you do?
Yeah, Aaron, we see you drop off on the one that we did live on YouTube, right?
Oh yeah. I think I don't even know what the stats are on that one. I haven't even looked. But that was the last time we had Andy on. It was the last time we did the one and only time we did YouTube.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, technology.
Yeah, and there are some people like I'll give you an example. The 2 people that would watch this that would have watched it on YouTube aren't going to be able to watch it live because it's on Facebook. Mm-hmm. My aunt and my brother Eric, because my brother very wisely is not on Facebook, and so he'll have to watch it after the fact, wherever it uploads to,
It'll be on YouTube fine. And our website.
Yeah, they'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
Ha! Nothing blue. Be careful.
And speaking of YouTube, I subscribed to your YouTube channel today, Andy. So
did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been putting my weird videos and my little rants and some of the live. I've been trying to record at a better quality the live sets I've been doing here in the dining room, but I'm having all kinds of frame rate problems where the audio is being recorded at one sort of frame rate and the video another, and then you have to match them, or you can't sync it up. Like you sync it up at the beginning and it's off by the time you get to the end. And I just want it to be easy. I don't want to seriously just let me record the fucking thing and put it up. Why is it gotta be such a pain in the ass? But no, it's got to be work. Work is what it is. So that's the part of the curating your output that you're doing is it's work. So that's the hard part because the playing and making the music and offloading the feelings and the emotions and whatever, that's the fun part and the easy part. And then the hard part is the work that gets figuring out how to frame rate it, so it just is what it is, I was hoping it would be simple. Cool. Oh, just because, the Facebook Live, first of all, that it's only on Facebook and Zuckerberg owns it. And second of all, it's a little fuzzy and the quality isn't that great, So my thought was, well, if I can record it with this and then record the audio with that and just put them together,
yeah, apparently.
Honestly, way more work than I thought it would be,
That's what I love about Aaron. He enjoys that technical thing because, like, all I want to do is sit in front of a microphone and have verbal diarrhea for an hour. So,
yeah, and then I make it look and sound pretty.
Yeah, Aaron makes me look sound pretty.
Chris, what's your background? Is that like a sci-fi show I never saw? Is that from like Firefly or something?
That's the Rebel Alliance headquarters from A New Hope on Yavin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wild. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yeah, I'm watching the Star Wars. I just watched Empire. I'll watch Jedi tomorrow, man. I like Jedi. I know Ewoks never bothered me that much. I remember seeing that movie a number of times, and then later in life, everybody shat on that movie. But I never had that big a problem with the third one. You know,
Yeah, no, I
what are you
was
gonna
like,
do? What the hell? What the hell is an Ewok? Who are you to say it doesn't look like that or talk like that? Fuck you.
Everyone says at the end of that
Fucking
movie
Ewok.
that him changing Hayden Christensen is unjustified. I think it's totally
Yeah, that
justified.
sucks. Yeah, that sucks.
No, I think
I
that's
agree.
totally justified.
what?
I think it's totally justified that Hayden Christensen.
He's talking about changing the ghost actor at the end, changing it
Yep.
to the guy that was in the other movie.
Yeah, but so why does Obi-Wan choose to continue being an old man ghost? Like, if you had a choice between being Alec Guinness or Ewan McGregor, you'd be Ewan fucking McGregor. Come on.
Well, let's be honest. Alec Guinness was a man of genuine class,
Oh, hell yeah.
and he would have. I don't know if you got that reference, and he would have stayed with the older Shakespearean actor gentleman type. Hayden Christensen, yeah, he's fuck him. He can be a kid if he wants, whatever.
Or Sebastian
Yeah.
Shaw. He got cut out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man. I just watched the George Lucas documentary, Lucasfilm and all that stuff. I don't know the actual title, but the more recent one. And it was great, man. Interesting to hear. And then when he builds his studio, when he builds that town, like didn't they pick the road had a certain name, so he picked the one that had a certain name that they went with. It was good. I obviously don't remember any of it, but I enjoyed watching it in the moment. It was fine.
At the time, it
You
was
know. It was cool. It's fine.
Empire of Dreams, I think. Empire of Dreams is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would, looking back, say that I did not accomplish the goal of picking the 3 worst movies. I only managed to pick a few movies I didn't like that much.
Yeah, well,
Chris, your list was pretty good.
I would genuinely say that The Happening is one of the worst movies ever committed to celluloid, but the others are debatable. Hey, Dolores Merlino just joined the live stream.
Wow. Hey.
Yeah, long time no see.
Crazy. She had a saying she used to say, what did she used to say? She used to say, one of those, like if the end of the world, I don't know, something, or if the creek doesn't rise. It was like if here or there, or the creek doesn't, if the creek don't rise.
Yeah, that's Charles Laquadera. I think he used to say that at the
Is
end of all his shows. BCN. Do you ever remember WBCN?
Yeah, I remember.
Dating myself.
That was great. I used to listen to Stern on BCN, man.
Yeah.
I listened to Stern up here, and then Opie and then Toucher and Rich later. He kind of took over for that shock jock that 2 hours in the morning. That's a thing that's gone, man. Morning radio, shock jocks. Talk.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the shitty classic rock, but they aren't funny. I mean the people that were actually funny. I don't mean
the idiots.
I don't mean the idiots that do the Men from Maine bullshit. That's not funny. If you're an idiot, that's funny. But
now my sister just said that Sheena of the Jungle is a pretty damn bad movie. I would disagree. Sheena's a great movie.
Well, look,
Tanya Roberts, man.
Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes.
The Tim Burton one, or all of them?
No, dude. Planet of the Apes. Charlton fucking Heston. You blew it up. You blew it up. You maniacs. You blew it up. Terrible movie. That's an unwatchable. Aaron, never watch that movie. Do me a favor, personally.
I'm not a Planet of the Apes fan, period. So,
Charlton Heston never met a set he didn't chew.
Well, look, forget about it. Ben-Hur. I remember my grandma. Okay, Ben-Hur. I remember my grandma and grandpa watching Ben-Hur. Like when we were kids, there were movies that the older folks would watch that I don't think hold up now. You know, like
Do you like
um,
gladiator movies? Have you ever been to a Turkish bath?
ha, yeah,
All I can say
You
is
know.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail makes Ben-Hur look like an epic. So
Ah,
So okay, are we getting to a thing here that we need to talk about? Maybe we should save this for the next one.
this is actually that's what it
Because-
says on the poster for that movie. Makes Ben-Hur look
Oh,
like an
okay.
epic. I have it in my room.
I thought you were maybe revealing that you're not a Monty Python fan. In which
Whoa.
point I was going to
No,
reach
I love
through the screen.
Holy Grail. Oh, I love that movie. Life of Brian. Oh,
but you,
I really like one of my favorite ones is The Meaning of Life. I really
That
like
one's
The
good,
Meaning
too.
of Life.
That is a good one.
Man,
every
there's
sperm
some
is
funny
sacred.
shit in that movie. Ugh, forget about it. And
So,
that, when he's like, I could go down to Harry's and buy a condom, whatever, and he's like, won't you? If I wanted, you know. That movie is great. I have the down here. I have the complete BBC Monty Python, all of the show, and it's fucking great, man.
you know, a movie I recently watched with the guy from Monty Python. I can't remember who it is, but it had like Cuba Gooding Jr. and everything. It's Rat Race.
oh my God.
Probably John Cleese, but I didn't see
Yep,
that.
it was John Cleese. Yep. Yeah, not a real fan. That movie.
Chris, is
We
that
watched it once.
is that from The Shining?
Yeah, that's the Overlook.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a little stir crazy. Aaron actually reminded me of one of my favorite. I like to collect strange idioms, and a number of months ago we were at camp, and there's this old time scouter guy, Dick Kehoe. He's got to be like 500 years old, and we're sitting on the porch right by a restroom, and this guy looks at us and goes. I just had an evacuation that made Dunkirk look like a day at the beach.
Wow.
Uh,
Damn.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am going to have to use that repeatedly.
I want to make a song named that. Like that's like I think people would stream that.
Challenged. So I said I was going to say challenge accepted, but I'm the one here that is not a musician.
Challenged. I challenge you. Nice save, Chris. Good job.
That's okay. You know, Chris, you have no musical abilities, so you can be the drummer.
There we go. I got an 808 over here. I can plug in. I'm good to go.
I can only tell that joke because none of my drummer friends are going to watch this podcast. Otherwise, I'd be in big trouble. Big trouble. We got an old musician joke. What do you call those people that hang around with musicians? Drummers.
Drummers.
You know. Yeah. You know why drummers leave their sticks on the dashboard? So they can park in the handicap parking spots.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, because for days. For fucking days. I got jokes like that for days. Very
Oh my
good.
gosh.
Yeah, good times. You know what's the difference between a dead saxophone player on the road and the dead snake on the road? Is it the snake was on the way to a gig? Yeah, I didn't say it was nice. We're not nice to each other. It's just a funny joke. We're not nice to each other at all. Yeah, man. Right.
Well, we're at about an hour and a half now. I don't know if anyone is bored. I'm not bored. I don't think you guys are.
No, but
Nope.
But I want to make sure nobody else is.
I can't. I'm looking at the Facebook feed, and it can't tell. Usually, it tells me how many people are watching, but
3.
oh, 3.
All right, 3. We love you, 3 people. All right.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey,
Noah?
who's that? Yep, totally. So yeah, I mean, movies. So Aaron, what would you say is your favorite movie from childhood?
From childhood. All right, not of all time,
Yeah.
just from childhood. Tommy Boy. My dad showed me that
Nice.
movie young. We actually watched it last night. My dad showed me that movie probably when I was like 6, and I've always loved that movie.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Killer.
My favorite movie of all time, actually, because this will make people go, "What the hell?" is Stalag 17.
Say it again.
Stalag 17.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's a 50s movie about World War II Prisoners of War.
Wow. That's unexpected for sure.
Yeah, and it's like 2.5 hours long. So
Wow. My grandpa always loved Guns of Navarone when that movie came on, but it's not a true story, apparently. Apparently, Guns of Navarone is fictional. It's a book. It's not something that actually happened in the war. Yeah. Cool, man. So, all right. So, wow. For me, Ghostbusters.
mm.
And somebody mentioned that movie, and it wasn't that. I was talking to my sister Kelly and her partner, and they were watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Maura, Kelly's partner, was like, "Oh, we were watching this, and I thought you might like that movie." I said, "You kidding? Like that movie? I can recite that movie line for line." And I quoted something in the middle, towards the end when they open up the thing and there's all the snakes in there. And he says, "Why did it have to be snakes?" I typed that, and she's like, "Oh wow, we were just past that part." It was pretty funny, But yeah, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is a movie we watched a billion fucking times, man, and I can quote every fucking scene, every movement in that movie. One of those great.
I don't hate Ghostbusters, but Ghostbusters is not in my top 10 movies.
Yeah.
I think growing up for me, if it wasn't Star Wars, Watership Down. You guys ever seen Watership Down?
No.
Not a kid. It's an animated movie about rabbits, but it ain't no kids movie, man. I was scarred by that, but
wow. Explain it again.
Yeah.
So it's an animated movie. It's a story of these rabbits that live in a den, and their den's going to get torn up by humans, so they have to move. And it chronicles their adventure. They run into evil rabbits that kill other rabbits, and it's messed up. But it's really good. It's a good movie.
And it's called Watership. What is it called?
Watership Down.
How does the title have anything to do with the movie?
It's England. Apparently, that's the name of a hill, Watership Down, because in England they got weird friggin' names.
A down is a hill.
Yeah.
Fucking Britain.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell watership. I mean, you would assume that a ship goes into water, but whatever.
Yeah, but their fucking words are all fucked up there.
Yeah.
I think it means Worcestershire sauce.
Or Last Flight of Noah's Ark. That's one I loved as a kid. Elliot Gould.
I don't know that either.
Elliot Gould is flying an old B-29 with a missionary and some kids. They crash on an island and they turn the plane into a boat. Contains some outdated cultural references.
I'll bet.
But Ricky,
the first of which is Elliot Gould
in a Disney movie.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
He's pretty good, but I'll say he's not as good as Gould. Sorry, that's another Simpsons reference. This is going to digress just into Simpsons references.
My wife and I communicate in 90% Simpsons references.
Yeah, I used to, man, my buddy Jeff was a great upright bass player and musician and writer. But we used to always with the Simpsons references. And then a number of years ago, young drummer we play with, James, got me into Rick and Morty. And he kept saying, "Dude, I'd be complaining about something. And he'd be like, "Dude, you sound like Rick. You need to watch Rick and Morty." And then James and I got really deep into Rick and Morty, and we'd be playing with Jeff and making references. And Jeff would be like, "Yeah, now I know how lame it is when you make references all the time and no one knows the reference." Because Jeff's not watching Rick and Morty. He's like, "Yeah, now." And I was like, "Yeah, it must be pretty obnoxious." He's like, "Yeah." It's pretty funny. But yeah, man. I'd watch an old Seinfeld outtakes, just the blooper reels. I enjoy, man, blooper reels. The Office ones are really good. Anything, if you need a laugh, you need to have a laugh, just watch people in comedy shows fucking up lines. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna feel better after that 10 minutes, man. It just forget
Seinfeld's
about it.
A little overrated.
Right, but go watch them fuck up their lines. Watch how much fun they're having together.
Oh no,
watch
that's funny.
That scene,
yeah,
That was I do love that, but one of my problems with Drew Carey's "Whose Line Is It?" Anyways, it always seemed like they were having a little too much fun on set. Like, guys, you got to work here, right? Get a show to do.
But they're drunk, so you get what you get,
It's true.
It's what it is.
The new version of Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's crap. Total crap. Drew Carey way better. Because he can make fun of Geppetto.
But he's
I know it said it's a bad movie, but for that reason you should watch it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I want to see
Take
the
the hit.
Dirty backstory. I'm down with that. I want to make that movie.
I just because you picture his voice, he's doing The Price is Right. Like I just can't imagine taking a old man seriously with that voice.
You know who would make an awesome Geppetto in a movie? John C. Reilly.
Wow.
I would totally. Could you imagine him playing Geppetto?
Actually,
Will Ferrell could be
I think the
Pinocchio.
way to do it. I think the way to do it would be to have John C. Reilly be Pinocchio and have Will Ferrell be Geppetto. That's your answer. That's your movie.
I would watch that movie. Although
That's your film.
Talk about bad movies. The Sherlock Holmes movie that the two of them did, absolute piece of shit.
Right. But someone was saying, and I watched it with this in mind, that the introduction, the way those two meet, that thing that they did was really good. The rest of the movie kind of stinks. But that whole beginning where how Holmes and Sherlock actually meet is actually a really cool idea. Just the rest of the movies, You got to make a few stinkers here and there. Max Headroom. Hey, Max Headroom.
Yeah, they can't all be.
Aaron has no idea what we're talking about, but that's fine.
Nope. I laugh so that I don't look stupid.
Max Headroom.
Max Headroom.
Oh, here's Watership.
Whoa.
That's from
They look
Watership.
sad. They look sad.
They're sad, but
Sad
they're watching
bunnies.
their home get destroyed.
Gaston
That
for the Beauty and the Beast is the guy that killed Bambi's mom, but that's a whole other conspiracy theory.
Say that again?
No.
Gaston from Beauty and the Beast is the guy that killed Bambi's mom. Just
No.
saying.
No. Bambi takes
Connect.
place in,
Why
like,
is that a thing?
Yeah, what?
Bambi takes place in the 50s, man.
So
Does it?
I say it does.
maybe that's when it came out.
No. The hunter is totally wearing like a red flannel jacket and a pair of Sears boots.
Hey, don't mock those Sears boots. They lasted forever.
Those were good boots.
I don't know. Bambi. I'm going to tell you that I've never seen Bambi.
I haven't seen it all
And
the way
I'm
through. I
happy
just know the mom
with that
dies.
existence. She does, but before that, she's totally subjugated by society. Come on, that wasn't bad. Give me a fucking break here. Yeah, I never saw Bambi. I mean, and that's, maybe saw part of it. And maybe when I was too young, but probably when I was young, maybe we watched it, but it doesn't have any meaning for me. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm particularly hip to, but that's all right.
That's on Disney Plus.
Disney, is it?
It is.
Well, I'll be definitely not watching it. I'm probably gonna be watching The Mandalorian again before I get to that. But but what's really good is that Fantasia.
Oh hell yeah! That night on
Stravinsky, the Rite of Spring man, fucking forget about it.
that night on Bald Mountain.
All of it. It's incredible. And one of the interesting things about that movie and that sound is that it's an old orchestra. In those days, the orchestra sounded different. The way people played, the way the instruments were. Now you can buy a professional clarinet and it sounds different than the old clarinets did. So that and the way people played and learned and practiced, the way the music was recorded, the type of microphones they used, that orchestra sounds very different than anything you would hear now. If you re-recorded Fantasia, it would never sound like that again. And that's, for me, that's one of the things that's really interesting about that recording is the orchestra, how interesting that sort of sounds. And the animation is all really cool. There's obviously the Nutcracker one where or it's not Nutcracker, but it's Tchaikovsky, right? Where Mickey Mouse chops up the little Mickey Mouses and all that, the whole thing. But, or I'm thinking of, no, you know what it is? The reason that's fucked up is because I'm thinking of the Simpsons version. Itchy and Scratchy, when he chops up the Scratchies and they go into his lungs, right, or whatever, the Itchies. That's funny. That shows you how screwed up I am, that I'm referencing Fantasia, but The Simpsons creeped its way into my reference of Fantasia.
Simpsons
and
did
it became a Simpsons reference. That's not good.
Yeah,
I think not good.
I can't remember if it was a Family Guy or a South Park joke. They have a running gag in one episode where The Simpsons did it.
That's South Park, early South Park too. To be honest with you, that's like season 6 or 7. I go back. I was one of the. I'm not on board of a lot of things from the beginning, but I was there for the beginning of South Park, man. That first year when they did that. Who is Eric Cartman's father? When they did that whole fake out, and on April Fool's Day, they had the Canada episode, and then that turns into a running gag where they do the Canada thing with the heads, the different Canada vibe. But that was, you were supposed to find out who Eric Cartman's father was, and we were there, ready. The TV was on, we were ready for it, and then it was a fucking April Fool's joke, and it was Canada, Terrence and Phillip. I was there for all that original South Park shit. I've been on board since the beginning.
Man.
Everything else, I've either missed the boat and got into it later, or was too young for all that kind of stuff, But South Park, man, I was one of the things I was there, man. I was there, South Park. Forget about it.
I don't think I got into. Actually, my sister got me into South Park. It was one of those. I was just like, oh, I don't like that show. It's puerile. And then we watched the movie, and I was like, oh my god, these guys are friggin' geniuses.
And then but that's like, but you weren't too late because the movie came out around season 4 or 5. Like you weren't too late to the boat,
Yeah.
I remember
I was going through an
seeing.
opinionated
Like anything's changed. I remember. I remember the original pilot. You remember that it wasn't a pilot. The original short film. The original. It's just, and it wasn't even called South Park yet. It was called Jesus versus Santa Claus. The original short film that they made. I remember a guy, and that was how it was back in the day before the internet. You had to know a guy who found the tape. Like you had to have the tape of the thing. And I remember going to a buddy's house, and they had a little TV and a little tape player. It was back my Berkeley days, and they were playing the original, And back then, the voices were different. Just like The Simpsons, just like anything. If you go back earlier, the voices are very different. And when they started South Park, they just sounded like little old men. It just sounded like old men yelling at each other. It wasn't. Now it's kind of evened out a little bit. The actors age, the characters become more defined. But in the early days of South Park, it was just like they were like 4 old men just yelling at each other. Sign me up, man. On board. Killer. Chris, is that the Black Hole to your background there? Is that the Black Hole movie from like 1964?
It is indeed.
And what was that movie called?
80s. The Black Hole.
Is it 80s? I thought it was earlier than that.
Yeah, it was. It came out. It was like 80. Not too long after Star Wars.
Right.
Dude, don't say pig fever in front of Jesus.
Seriously.
Yeah, it reminds me of like knowing a guy with the VHS tape. We had a copy for the longest time of. You remember the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas special?
Of course.
Somebody had that, and they dubbed in lines from Blue Velvet.
Ha!
And it was, it was hysterical.
It must be.
Mm-hmm. And I've only we had a VHS copy of that, and it's the only place I've ever seen it.
Yeah, some of those things go dark, they don't get. And tape doesn't last, a lot of that. There's a lot of things that just don't hold up, that they don't get replayed, and if they didn't get put onto digital 10 years ago, they're gone.
Yeah, I remember when Carrie and I first dating. I took a film class at Mass Art years ago, and I made a movie on Super 8. So we've been dating like maybe 4 or 5 months, and I went to play it for her, and the friggin' film just like disintegrated on the projector. And that was the end of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and people that store tape, like you have to have like an extra refrigerator. I knew guys that had like a refrigerator, and they would keep all the quarter-inch reel to reels and all this stuff, mostly music shit, But you had to keep it cool. You had to have like a separate refrigerator at like 45 degrees, because that's what makes them sort of last a little longer, But yeah, tape man. I don't know whatever happened with this stuff, but when I was a music student at Berkeley, I studied with Frank Tiberi. And Frank's a great old saxophone player, brilliant guy, incredible improviser. And he saw Coltrane play a lot in the 60s and recorded him all the time. And he would always talk about that he had these Coltrane tapes, and no one's heard them. No one ever heard them. He wouldn't play them for anybody. He didn't want to sell them because, that was like the retirement grease, that was the gold, And he would talk about it, but he would never play them for you. And I think only a few of his close friends, maybe George Garzone, ever heard any of it. But, at a certain point, it wouldn't be releasable anyway because the tape degrades and it's not going to sound like anything anyway. So that's the sad part about holding on to that kind of stuff, is that the tape is destroyed before it has a chance to be released and heard, and that can happen a lot,
It's the that whole Buddhist philosophy of impermanence.
Right. Now you can't take it with you anyway, so what the hell?
Right.
But that's whatever. It is what it is. I have some old tape. I got rid of a lot of tape. I kind of got burned. Like I remember like buying a lot of blank tapes and taping The Simpsons. The fear was, oh, they're gonna stop playing these. You got to tape The Simpsons. And then they start making DVDs of them, and you're like, fucking hell, mate. Really? Seriously? Now I got to buy the White Album again? Motherfucker. So that was kind of a learning experience for me.
Then they have FXX, and they just broadcasting it 24/7.
Yeah, great. I'm so glad I've been moving this crap from apartment to apartment.
Right.
Fucking incredible. Unbelievable.
Yep.
So
with music, I had all my LPs, and then I moved to cassette, and then I replaced stuff on CD, and now it's all digital.
Yeah. And I remember whenever it was going on digital, it was like, you got to keep all the stuff because you might not be able to get it back, and they might take it away from you. And I've heard people losing shit off iTunes, like iTunes mysteriously disappears shit you didn't pay for. I've heard stories. I've never had that happen personally, but that's the danger. If you give everything up to the cloud and the cloud disappears, then you don't got nothing.
Yep. I went out and bought. I have extra external hard drives that just for music. I got nothing else on them except.
Sure. Yeah. Storage. Just because that way you're kind of covered.
But do you think I'll ever get to listen to it? I have almost a terabyte of music. I could live my whole life and not make it through all those albums.
Right.
Although, maybe that's what I should be doing with my COVID time.
Maybe. Hey, look. Get it done, Put it all up. Yeah, saturation too.
Right now, boys.
I mean, no one's, you could put stuff up on a platform too, but no one's going to see it. You got to connect directly to the people that want to see what you have because it's so saturated. Every once in a while, and I'm bored, I'll just hit up YouTube and I'll just type in random numbers and letters and see what comes up. And as soon as you get past the first page and a half, it's all just videos of people playing video games.
Yeah.
Like the majority of what's on fucking YouTube is people watching other people play video games. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I find that so bizarre.
So it's nuts. But that's because the way the filter works, you're seeing some of what you requested and then just whatever's there. I think that if you were to do a pie chart of or a burrito, if you will, chart of everything that's on YouTube. You know, the amount of like there's going to be a small pie slice, and I think that's a taco of. I think there's going to be a small taco slice of personal content, music, whatever, arts, and then everything else is people watching other people play video games.
That's so true.
Because that's so much of what's actually on the servers. So if you're an artist or a musician or a filmmaker or a comedian and you're putting shit on YouTube, no one's seeing that shit by searching for it. You've got to get people to it. You've got to find a way to get people to actually see it. Because the bulk of what's on your pie chart, or which I suppose is a calzone, there's just so much stuff. There's just so much stuff there. It's insurmountable. It's insurmountable, the amount of data.
Maybe that's the key. If we want to get some good content out into the world, we should be on Twitch playing video games, but talking about esoteric shit rather than the game.
Yeah, but people do that. They're playing a video game and they'll talk about like a true crime or something like that. Like that's a thing.
Oh God damn it! All the ideas are taken.
Opportunities lost.
They're always one step ahead, Chris. You can't even bother.
Major League Baseball with their satellites. They're listening to me.
Yeah, I wear tinfoil most of the time. I wanted to dress up for the podcast,
Oh,
yep.
All right, kids.
Well,
I got to bail because I got dishes to do from dinner. So since I didn't make dinner.
Well, then
that was fun,
case,
gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Hey, I had a great time. Ask me back anytime.
We'll need
before
another list.
Before I end the live stream, I want to say, don't forget on Wednesday we have a new episode coming out. What is it? The In Sound from Way Out.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
one of the first electronic music albums from 1966.
And Smash Mouth stole from them. So
wow,
yeah, and TurboTax.
Yes, TurboTax.
Although I think TurboTax got clearance. So I don't know.
Probably. But new episode Wednesday, and check out our website, esotericofthepodcast.com, where you can see more of Andy's last appearance on our second live stream. So there are other stuff, all our other content.
Milk.
Gungan Milk. Gungan Milk. I should rename that episode Gungan Milk.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. I had a blast hanging with you guys.
Yeah, always good.
Yeah.
Stay safe and avoid the COVID.
No shit. Seriously. Cool, guys.
All right.
Alrighty.
See you later. End of the stream.
Yeah, it's ended.